Jimmy Kimmel Live tonight. Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program with Rick Williams.
Wednesday night, and we have breaking news. We want to go right over to meteorologist Cecily Tynan because of a tornado warning in Newcastle County at this hour. Cecily, what's the latest?
And Rick, this is the second one of the night, and this is for west central Newcastle County. This is until 11:30 tonight. So there is a storm capable of producing a tornado near Bohemia Mills, near Middletown, Delaware, moving east at about 20 miles per hour. Last 15 minutes, we've had 8 lightning strikes, and this is a little bit farther north of the tornado warning that we had around 8:30 tonight. And this is radar indicated, so it means that there haven't been any witnesses seeing a tornado. It's dark anyhow, it's rain wrapped. And as we look at the relative velocity, so this shows the winds. Now, the winds heading towards the radar site, those are in green. The winds heading away from the radar site are in red. So what we have right here is what's known as good gate-to-gate shear. We have the winds in one direction and the winds in the other direction very close, and that is a signature of some rotation in the atmosphere. When you get the spinning rotation, you form a funnel cloud. If it hits the ground, it forms a tornado, and that's where you get the damage. So moving northeast, east-northeast at about 20 miles an hour. So Summit Bridge, McDonough, Thornton, and Port Penn all in the path of this possible tornado. Now, why there's a polygon that's wider is that tornadoes typically, they don't follow a straight line. They kind of move back and forth. They kind of skip around. So that's why the polygon itself is a lot wider than that particular track. But if you are in central Delaware, you do want to get indoors right away, get into basement. Also, in addition to the damaging winds, the lightning, these storms are unleashing a lot of rain in a short period of time. The rainfall rates close to 2 inches per hour, and actually they've had up to about 6 inches of rain in parts of northern Maryland, and that's where the storms are moving away from. So Storm Tracker 6 showing the rainfall rates very impressive, blinding rain with the potential for some localized flooding, but again, the tornado warning is our biggest concern. I do want to show you, why don't we show you a little bit wider radar? Or first of all, I'll show you that polygon. Again, the tornado warning until 11:30 for central Delaware, Middletown, Delaware included in that. It's just to the east of Chesapeake City, Maryland, crossing 301 and heading towards the Delaware River. So what you want to do, again, if you're in a tornado warning, we haven't had many this season so far, fortunately, but we do get tornadoes in our area. So seek shelter right away. Go into a basement. That's the best place you can go. If you don't have a basement, again, a closet or an interior hall on the lowest level of your building. Avoid windows. You don't want any broken glass. Get indoors if you're outside. There's no reason why you should be outside. And get under a sturdy object is a good idea as well. You really want to put as many layers between you and the outdoors as possible. Now a wider view showing what we're dealing with tonight. It's a warm front that's moving out of our area. The storms in Maryland have been intense. They've had 15 tornado warnings in Maryland. There have been 2 confirmed tornadoes. So these storms are moving out of Maryland into Delaware right now. Now, as they're moving up to the north and east, they are losing their intensity. So the heaviest weather we've been getting tonight, unfortunately for the folks who live in Newcastle County, Delaware, it's been really focused in your area. When we get the storms moving out, they've generally been lessening in intensity. We get the heavy rainfall, we get the thunder and lightning, but we don't have the potentially damaging winds. That is that tornado warning in effect until 11:30, just north of Middletown, Delaware, including Thornton. So again, get indoors immediately if you do live in this area. We've been looking at numerous lightning strikes, heavy downpours, and the potential for the damaging winds, all with this warm front. And if you've been stepping outside at all this evening, you notice it's so humid out there, so that helps add fuel to these storms. We have a lot of moisture in the air. There's also something called a low-level jet. It's a river of air above the surface, and that kind of helps provide some lift. So even though the center of the storm system is well up to the north, when you have that low-level jet, it helps provide lift. Storms, when they lift up, they intensify. And these are the storm reports. So we've had, again, 15 tornado warnings in Maryland. 2 confirmed, one in Gaithersburg, one in Baltimore, and the one in Gaithersburg actually reports of some structures collapsed, many injuries, unfortunately. So that caused a lot of problems. That was earlier this evening. And then you can see how they're kind of peppered further to the east, moving into the eastern shore of Maryland and then Middletown, Delaware. So this was this tree damage we had reported earlier this evening around 8:30. We had our first tornado warning of the night, and now we have that second one, Middletown, Delaware. So basically the first one a little bit farther to the south. The second one, what we're dealing with right now, is across central Newcastle County, Delaware, and these storms continue to move northeast at about 20 miles per hour. So people are home, most people are in bed. Hopefully everyone has a way to get their warnings on their phones. This is not a highly populated area, but we did have a tornado in Middletown, Delaware several years ago that did cause a lot of damage. So second one of the night with those tornado warnings in Newcastle County, Delaware. Relative velocity now showing that we still have some gate-to-gate shear. With that, again, that's the winds, the green, the winds heading towards the radar site, the red heading away. So this is a way we can use Storm Tracker to not just look at the rainfall and the direction of the rain, we can see that wind. And when you get that strong gate-to-gate shear, that couplet, that's an indication that we get the rotating winds higher in the atmosphere. Again, that causes the funnel cloud. If the funnel cloud hits the ground, that causes a tornado. And this is radar indicated. So the folks at the National Weather Service, they're looking at the same things that we're looking at. They see this, and that's when they pull the trigger for that tornado warning. Moving east-northeast about 20 miles an hour. So Summit Bridge, Graylag, McDonough, Thornton, and Port Penn all in the path of this possible tornado. That tornado warning until 11:30. So if you know anybody who lives in these localities who may be asleep, may not be watching the news, maybe give them a call, let them know what's going on so they can get themselves and their family into their safe place. Second tornado warning of the night. And so far this season, we really haven't had a lot of tornado warnings. Much of the nation has, but we have been relatively quiet until tonight. So you can see how that extends from Middletown, Delaware, east of Chesapeake City, up basically to the Delaware River, just a little bit farther north of the tornado warning we had earlier tonight. So again, if you live in these areas, you do want to seek shelter immediately. This kind of zooms in, showing some of the other localities: Graylag, Thornton, St. George's Heights, Summit Bridge, basically crossing Route 1 towards the east. If that particular cell stays together, it would be heading towards the Delaware River. A lot of times when that happens, the cells kind of dissipate. It's moving pretty quickly, northeast about 20 miles per hour. And notice how the actual possible tornado spotted near Middletown, Delaware, north of Middletown, Delaware with a radar. And notice how the polygon kind of widens out. And again, it's because tornadoes, they can kind of have their mind of their own. They don't necessarily continue the same direction or even the same speed. They kind of move around a lot. A wider view showing that much of our area is just dealing with some heavy rain. We don't have any severe weather out of Newcastle County. We have some heavy rain near Philadelphia. Allentown, you're like, what's the big deal? There's not much going on. We have some pretty light rain. This is all associated with that warm front that's moving through. So we are getting some heavy downpours in Philadelphia, not even a rumble of thunder. All of the dynamics for the severe weather generally to the south, closer to the Mason-Dixon line. That's why across Maryland, they were getting hit so hard. The D.C., the Baltimore area, that's really going to probably be the big story at Good Morning America tomorrow as they see the damage. And now we're seeing that particular cell that's moving just north of Middletown. I think in the beginning of this, I see, maybe we can back it up a little bit, Paul. I see a little bit of a hook in the beginning of that radar, and then as it expands, it looks like we're kind of losing the hook. A lot of times when we look at the reflectivity with the radar, when we see that classic hook signature, it is an indication of a possibility of a tornado. I don't see it too well here, but we did see that in the relative velocity. This particular view, over the past 15 minutes, we've had 20 lightning strikes. So it's really like rocking and rolling in Newcastle County as that particular cell continues pushing to the east. So Mount Pleasant, Graylag, McDonough, and Thornton all in the path of that possible tornado. Again, that tornado warning is in effect until 11:30 tonight. Second one of the night, the focus of the severe severe weather for our area has really been across Newcastle County, Delaware, because we've been tracking the storms moving out of Maryland, the severe storms, 15 tornado warnings in Maryland, and they're just kind of scooting through Newcastle County, bringing the damaging winds, the lightning, and that heavy rain. Now, this shows the precipitation rate with that particular cell close to 2 inches per hour. So that is torrential rain. We do have reports of as much as 6 inches of rain in northern Maryland, and there are going to be a lot of reports of some tree damage as well. The rainfall rate's pretty impressive with this particular cell. So again, we do have that tornado warning in effect until 11:30 for west central Newcastle County, Delaware. North of this, we're just getting the heavy rain. The focus of the tornadic activity has really been across Delaware, Newcastle County, Delaware. So unfortunately, if you live here, hopefully you are in your safe place right now. We'll continue to track it. Do we have any updates from the National Weather Service yet on location or anything? Adam's checking
there
with the
hasn't been
iPad
any
currently.
updates, no.
So this particular system, again, has been pushing out of Maryland. It's a warm front. Once it lifts out of our area tonight, we get a lull in the action. Tomorrow morning, not much is going on. But then we have a cold front tomorrow afternoon, and that will bring us a renewed risk of some severe weather. So this shows the rainfall chances over the next 18 hours. Really, we're in the thick of it right now. As we approach daybreak, it really drops off. So tomorrow morning, not much going on into the early afternoon, pretty quiet conditions. And then we have a renewed threat of some scattered storms tomorrow afternoon as that cold front pushes through. And what that front will finally do is get rid of the humidity we've been dealing with and bring us a beautiful start to the weekend, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. Future tracker showing as we head through the night tomorrow morning, you can see a few scattered lingering showers possible early tomorrow morning. Not much going on. We're not going to be getting any severe weather tomorrow morning, not going to be getting any heavy downpours. As we head into the afternoon, this is when we get that cold front. So that does have the possibility of bringing us a few more rounds of some pretty active weather. And the latest models are indicating that the best chance of stronger storms, unfortunately, for the areas have been dealing with tonight would also be mainly south of Philadelphia. It really looks like areas south of Philadelphia, kind of towards the Mason-Dixon line, the areas tonight that have been getting the strongest storms. And that's probably the case again as we head tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours with that cold front, and then everything will be pushing off. And then we have a very quiet start to the weekend, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. Until then, though, we do have that tornado warning. So we do like to stay on these to see if there are any updates from the National Weather Service on the location, or a lot of times they cancel them early, which is good news. But that tornado warning right now for west central Newcastle County, Delaware until 11:30. And you can see it right here as we get a little bit closer, even towards Wilmington. It's just heavy rain. But then you can see this cluster of the thunderstorms. This is the same cell that rolled through Baltimore that brought numerous tornado warnings for Maryland. And that's really the focus of the heavy weather right now. We've had, what, about 9 lightning strikes. Oh no, 36 lightning strikes. I was thinking that wasn't that much over the past 15 minutes. So that indicates there's a lot of juice to this storm. Tornado warning because it's radar indicated that the National Weather Service saw the radar and saw some rotation. You get some of that rotation, it could cause a tornado. So that's why we do have that tornado warning in effect. And it's moving pretty quickly towards the east at about 20 miles per hour. So again, Summit Bridge, in the next 3 minutes, this possible tornado will be rolling through that area. Laurelwood Grove about 6 minutes after that by 11:26. McDonough right here. Gams Crest by 11:28 and Thornton by 11:33. If that particular cell stays together, again, the tornado warning is in effect until 11:30 tonight. Thornton 11:33, but still. See the polygon? See how it kind of goes out? That's because a lot of times that tornado, again, does not follow a straight path. So to review, if you are in a tornado warning, this is actually good information for all of us since we're heading into severe weather season. You want to know what your safe place is. Best place always will be a basement. If you don't have a basement, a lot of people don't, you do want to get into a closet or an interior hallway or a bathroom on the lowest level of your floor. You want to get away from any windows and move indoors, obviously, and if things really get rocking, a good idea to get under a sturdy object. I know a lot of people out across the Plain States dealing with those long track, very powerful tornadoes. They get in a tub with a mattress on top of them. Fortunately, we don't get really powerful tornadoes, but even an EF0, EF1, EF2 can cause a lot of damage, and then we've also seen that straight line winds can also cause a lot of damage. What you want to do is protect yourself from any falling objects, from any trees, any flying debris. Sky 6, our brand new wine camera, just saying, it's raining outside. It's really dark. You can't really see anything at all. We have some heavy rain rolling through Philadelphia. Haven't had any severe weather in Philadelphia and areas to the north. The focus really has been across Newcastle County. This actually shows it really, really well. How Philadelphia, steady, heavy rain. Allentown, it's light. Wilmington, moderate, but then you see this cluster of storms rolling right across the central part of Newcastle County, Delaware. That's where we have that tornado warning, and the Maryland area is finally clearing out. So this is really the last of it. They got blasted with 15 tornado warnings, 2 confirmed tornadoes. So this is the last that's moving right now north of Middletown, Delaware, 301. You can see all the lightning strikes and very heavy rain. Not even out of the question that they could have some large hail with these storms. There's enough uplift for that. Moving east at about 20 miles per hour. If this cell stays together, it would be pushing into Salem County, New Jersey. At this point, too early to tell if that's going to be happening. Do we have an update?
Yeah, if you want to open up my mic.
Open up
mic 11.
Adam's mic.
So, is it open? Yes.
Is it open?
Okay, so we just got an update from the National Weather Service that they're continuing this warning until 11:30, a severe thunderstorm producing a possibility of rotation near Mount Pleasant or near Middletown, moving east still at 20, Cecily.
Okay.
So still moving
changed.
east at 20. In some of the impact cities, Delaware City, St. George's, Port Penn, Mount Pleasant, and Odessa.
Okay.
Other than that, there's been no other updates.
Okay, so they're continuing. So a lot of times the National Weather Service will produce updates because we've been 17 minutes into this, and a lot of times they'll see that the signature for the tornado has dissipated, so that's when they will cancel it, or they'll continue it, or sometimes they'll even extend it into another area. We've had 52 lightning strikes right now in this area, so you can see it's pretty powerful. Summit Bridge, as Adam mentioned, Thornton as well, basically crossing Route 71, 13 heading towards Route 9. Why don't we go ahead and do the relative velocity now? Because I think that actually shows the possibility of the center of rotation a lot better than what we're seeing right now in the relative velocity. So looks a little haggard, which could be a good sign. So we've got a little bit of that, again, the gate-to-gate shear, when you have the green and you have the red pretty close to each other, that's an indication you have the wind going in one direction with the green, another one with the red. So it looks like it could be right around here. It's starting to look a little haphazard, which sometimes is an indication that it could be weakening. Hopefully that's the case, but you can also see that there's kind of this blob that's moving to the east. So that looks like that is the center of that circulation, which could be the tornado. The radar indicated tornado moving north of Middletown right now, moving east at about 20 miles per hour. So again, putting the path with the track with some of the communities, St. George's Heights, Thornton, Port Penn, and Elsinboro, all in the path of the storm. Elsinboro, that's closer to midnight, so hopefully it'll lift out before that. It'll start to weaken. We've been seeing the storms holding together pretty well, moving out of Maryland, where they were just rocked with tornado warnings. So to the second one of the night right now in Newcastle County, we have a few thunderstorms developing right now in the corner of Chester County and Newcastle County. There was a tornado warning just south of Chester County in Maryland. That now has expired, so that's the good news for Chester County. You're just getting some heavy rain, a few rumbles of thunder right now, picking up in Salem County as well. But this is really the focus north of Townsend, Delaware, north of Middletown, where we're seeing the heaviest weather with the potential for that tornado warning. We're entering severe weather season right now, and I know folks a few years ago, especially actually 3 years ago, Mulca Hill dealt with a very powerful tornado. So this is a good reminder for all of us to make sure you know where your safe place is for your family to get into that basement, interior closet, or hallway, or bathroom's always a good idea to possibly escape any damage from a tornado. So this shows some of that rainfall that's been just pelting parts of Maryland. This shows accumulation near Aberdeen, where they did have several tornado warnings, more than 5 inches of rain. Near Odessa, Delaware, more than 4 inches. So the focus really of these storms has been from Maryland kind of moving due east. Even though the actual warm front is lifting up to the north, there's a lot more upper level support for the stronger storms south of our area. So that's why folks in Newcastle County have been hit with 2 tornado warnings in one night, when the rest of us are just dealing with some heavy rain. You can see that tornado warning again extending now north of Middletown to the Delaware River. We've had 40 lightning strikes over the past 15 minutes. So a lot of times when a storm system is trying to kind of rain itself out, we'll actually see the number of lightning strikes diminishing. Now a wider view showing 67 lightning strikes. So this shows that that storm system is holding together, and that's part of the reason why the National Weather Service is not canceling. They're continuing that tornado warning until 11:30. So again, some of the communities updated. Mount Pleasant by 11:22, in about 2 minutes, this possible tornado will be heading towards Mount Pleasant. So if you live there, if you have friends living there, seek shelter, get into your safe place, tell your friends to do that. Lorewood Grove, 11:25, so about 3 minutes after that. 11:32, McDonough. Now again, that tornado warning expires at 11:30, but storms, they don't follow the clock. So we'll just have to see what the National Weather Service does if they expire that tornado warning. If it holds together, by 11:40, it'll be heading towards Thornton. So you can see over the past 15 minutes, we've had 73 lightning strikes with this. So it actually looks like it's even growing a little bit more in intensity as the energy out of Maryland kind of transfers into Delaware. All of this pushing to the east. So Newcastle County has been getting hit really hard. Areas to the north, not hearing much rumbles of thunder, not seeing a lot of lightning strikes. We're just getting kind of a steady rain that's pushing through Philadelphia right now. It's heading towards Bucks County, Norristown, moderate rainfall. You can see 1 lightning strike right now in Salem County and Chester County. Southern Chester County, you've been getting hit with some heavy rain, a few rumbles of thunder, but really the focus of that severe weather has been across Maryland and Delaware. It's shutting off in Maryland right now. It's moving through Delaware. That's where we have that tornado warning for west central Newcastle County, and then the rest of us just dealing with some heavy rain. So I think once that particular cell moves out, hopefully it weakens, everything kind of settles down overnight, and we just have a few more bouts of heavy rain. But it has been a crazy night for Maryland. We've had storm reports, you can see, moving through the Rockville area north of Washington, D.C. Several tornado reports, 1 confirmed tornado, and that was the one in Gaithersburg that caused a lot of problems. So we've had, unfortunately, reports of 5 injuries as well. So that tornado was big enough that some buildings were actually demolished from it. And then there were some more tornado warnings near Baltimore. Overall, Maryland has had 15 tornado warnings tonight. 2 confirmed tornadoes, and the National Weather Service, I'm sure, will be sending out survey teams tomorrow to see if they had any additional tornadoes. So all these storms roll through Maryland. We were watching the radar all night, hoping that they would fall apart, but a few of them stayed together, and that's why we have that second tornado warning for Newcastle County, Delaware right now. Overnight tonight, things are going to be getting so much better. As we head through the overnight hours, we will be drying out as a warm front lifts north of our area. Tomorrow morning, we don't have to worry about any storms. We have a few lingering showers here or there. We're in the warm sector of the system, so this is a warm front, so it brings us warm, humid air tomorrow. Then we have a cold front moving through, and that will bring us the possibility of some storms in the afternoon into the evening hours. I want to stress that not everyone gets hit by these storms, but that's a cold front that will clear the air right in time for Friday and the weekend. So Future Tracker showing tomorrow morning, the severe storms are out of here. The heavy downpours are out of here. We have a few lingering showers as we head right around lunchtime, maybe even a couple breaks of sunshine, and then that cold front pushing through in the afternoon. So this is a computer forecast model. So you have to kind of take it with a bit of a grain of salt, but it shows the timing. Probably the best chance of some storms would be around between 3, 6 o'clock. This one particularly shows around 5 o'clock. It does show that the potential for the heaviest weather would be south of Philadelphia. If that holds, that's going to be kind of similar to tonight. But the good news is once that cold front rolls through Friday, we've got some really refreshing weather, and the weekend's looking pretty nice, especially on Saturday. So it will all pay off once we get into Friday. Until then, though, this tornado warning does remain in effect for west central Newcastle County. It's north of Middletown, basically from 301 through 13, Route 9 to the Delaware River, including Delaware City. The potential for damaging winds. We have heavy rainfall, lightning, and this system, again, continuing to move to the east at about 20 miles per hour. And we've been looking for signs of it weakening. The one thing that I'm happy about or feeling optimistic about is that the relative velocity doesn't look quite as impressive as earlier. You can see as we put this into motion, it starts to kind of fall apart. So a lot of times that is an indication that the storm system could be kind of losing some of its punch. We'll have to see with an update if the National Weather Service does expire. The tornado warning, it's set to expire in 5 minutes. It also shows the movement of the storm. You can see how it is moving generally due east at a pretty fast clip at about 20 miles per hour. So hopefully it'll continue to weaken. This is not a highly populated area, but again, Middletown, Delaware did have a pretty significant tornado just a few years ago that caused a lot of damage. So tracking the storm, we're starting to run out of towns because we're moving closer to the Delaware River, but it looks like McDonough in about 1 minute, that particular cell, that storm will be right on top of you. So if you live in McDonough, if you have any friends, you need to get to your safe place, call your friends, let them know to get to their safe place. Over the past 15 minutes, we've had 73, 72 lightning strikes with this cell as it continues to move pretty quickly to the east at about 20 miles per hour. So we've got thunder and lightning. If you live in Salem County, New Jersey, you're starting to see the lightning strikes. You're starting to hear the rumbles of thunder, and that rain is really picking up in intensity. We've had rainfall rates at anywhere from about 1.5 inches to 2 inches per hour. Again, parts of northern Maryland, 5 to 6 inches of rain. So this system is squeezing a lot of moisture out of the atmosphere. It's got some lift, and this is what's creating some of those lightning strikes. And as I've said, fortunately, it's at night. Most people are inside, but you never want to be outside during a thunderstorm. If you see something, you want to go outside, take some video, don't bother. It's just not worth the risk. Rainfall rates, you can see the focus of that is now shifting very close and actually over the Delaware River. So it's kind of front end loaded where we're looking at the rainfall rate of close to 3 inches per hour. So the storm is unleashing torrents of rain right now. Fortunately, this isn't during a commute like the Gaithersburg area, the Baltimore storms tonight. A lot of video out of that because people were trying to get home. They were taking video. They were on the roads, which is very dangerous. So fortunately, most people are at home, but some very heavy rain. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some areas of some flash flooding. Can we open Adam's mic up? I think he does have an update.
Yeah, so they have now extended this tornado warning until midnight for central Newcastle County in northern Delaware, southwestern Salem County in southern New Jersey. At 11:27, severe thunderstorm capable of producing
You can come up
a tornado was near Mount Pleasant, near Middletown, moving east at 15, so it slowed a little bit.
Okay.
So some of the towns, Salem, Hancock's Bridge, Port Penn, Hope Creek, and Odessa.
Okay,
So it's a little further south than the
So
original.
this is the original polygon now, and so now we're saying how it's crossing the Delaware River. So now they're saying it's staying together. So the tornado warning has now extended into Salem County, New Jersey. So if you live in this area, I know I've been saying the focus has been in Newcastle County, but it doesn't look like the storm is weakening. It's actually starting to intensify. So if you live in this polygon here, if you live within that red, you do want to get in your safe place as well. So Salem County now under the gun as that storm begins to push out of Newcastle County, Delaware.
And one thing we've noticed is when this storm was coming in from Maryland, it had 5 lightning strikes when you went on the air at 11. It's up to 70 plus lightning strikes, and it seems like it's restructuring itself. where we had the original spin to the north, and you saw how that faded. And then there's like this new area developing where you have this concentration of lightning strikes. And there's some really
right
good
there.
gate-to-gate shear right there just to the east of Middletown.
You know, a lot of times, especially in this area, because we don't get the big long track tornadoes, we get the tornadoes that kind of like skip around, or they lift up and they regenerate and almost, you know, form another storm that's got some more gusto to it. And that's definitely the case here.
Here was the original one you were tracking, which still has a little bit of gate-to-gate shear, but this is, I think, the more impressive of the two that they prompted that new warning.
And another update, it's slowing down.
Yeah, by 5 miles an hour. It's moving east at 15.
East at 15. So it's starting to cross the Delaware River right now. Thornton, Eisenboro, Port Penn in the path of the storm.
Correct.
So the storm, the tornado warning now is in effect until midnight tonight.
Yeah,
so Salem County, New Jersey, under the gun. It's going to be a busy night.
And another thing, I don't want to ignore this. We also have a flash flood warning for southwestern Chester County.
Okay.
Until 2:30, emergency management reports heavy rain in that warned area. Between 2 and 4 inches of rain have fallen. So that was a storm that prompted a tornado warning for Cecil County in Maryland.
Just south.
Just south of there. So we do have flooding ongoing right now in southern Chester County, where 2 to 4 inches has fallen. That's right near East Nottingham Township. So
this is a situation that we've been talking about, how the atmosphere is just loaded with moisture.
Yeah.
And so when you get the storms, they can wring out so much rain in a short period of time. We were watching the tornado warning.
Yeah, down right
It was
over the
just
border,
south, and we were
right
kind
there.
of holding our breath, like,
The whole
don't
time,
go into Chester County.
Because it was going east. And this, I mean, we have now a flash flood warning. We have all these tornado warnings, and we're in our AccuWeather Alert Week. I mean, you talked about it on Monday
On flooding,
of just the flooding and how dangerous that can be. And just today, we had meteorologist Brittany Boyer talking about how tornadoes have increased in our area. So we have two of these ongoing situations at this hour.
So, and what I would say is turn around, don't drown.
Yep.
But again, when it happens this late at night, fortunately, most people are probably off the roads. But again, if you're driving late at night, or this is something to think about moving forward into severe weather season, this shows about 5 inches of rain. So the ground can't absorb that. So please do not drive through any flooded roads. Flash flooding, it happens in a flash very quickly. So it takes you off guard, and a lot of times it also dissipates very quickly as well. So this is up until 2:30 in the morning, you said, for southern Chester County.
Yeah. And then you can just see how impressive these rainfall totals were in the Baltimore region and just east of there. So, and Paul, up to half a foot of rain, which is just unrelenting, and the humidity has really spiked up, and tomorrow the humidity is going to stay high. So, Paul, why don't we go back to that tornado warning? I just want to see, number one, the relative velocity to see if that couplet is strengthening.
I was hoping, because I saw the initial one starting to weaken, I thought, this is a good sign.
Restructuring itself here, which would be between Route 13 and 9, heading over the Delaware, the mouth of the Delaware River.
So now you can see how they've kind of cut it off. So, Middletown, that area is no longer. So the storm has now passed. So it's from Graylag, I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
And then
Thorntown, and I've been saying Thornton all night, into Salem, lower Alloways Creek. So it extends into a pretty large section of Salem County, New Jersey. And again, it's almost like the cone of uncertainty with the hurricane tracks, where it flares out because, again, tornadoes can shift.
Yes.
They can change their direction. They can change their speed. So that's why, even if you're not right here, if you're here, you want to get
jog. It can kind of
safe place.
Jog to the north, south. But I would be, in your safe zone anywhere, but especially lower Alloways Creek.
Definitely.
In this part of Salem County, it's a lot of farmland down through here. Of course, the farmers, they have their homes as well, and their crops, which is extremely valuable as well. So this is a pretty impressive couplet here. We have the inbound green toward the radar, the red outbound, where you get that spin in the atmosphere. And again, this is only radar indicated. It's not a confirmed tornado. But whether it's confirmed or not, you want to be in your safe place, which is the lowest level of your home.
Waterspout possible, 45-mile-an-hour winds, Delaware Bay, and East Point to Slaughter Beach, Delaware. That's where we have that marine warning. Remember, we also have that flash flood warning for Chester, PA, until 2:30 for potential for about 5 inches of rain that's already fallen and additional rain that's going to be falling. So we've got so much going on here. It's not just the potential for damaging winds and hail with these storms. It's also the fact that they're moving so slow and have so much precipitation with them that they're creating a lot of flooding concerns as well.
Yeah, and I mean, add insult to injury, there's also like a coastal flood advisory tonight, and that stretches into the Delaware Bay. So we're already talking about an increase in some of the water levels with the high tide cycle in the back bays into the Delaware Bay, but also we're looking at that heavy rainfall. Some locations will probably end up with a half a foot of rainfall with this particular cell because it is producing that much rainfall with those very impressive rainfall rates, 2 to 4 inches per hour. So once again, it's crossing the Delaware Bay. The potential's there for a water spout as it does so with the rotation moving into sections of Salem County. So once again, let's kind of zoom into Salem County here, and you can see we're talking about some of the locations looking at very heavy rainfall right now. So here are some of the streets I want to zoom in. Money Island Road, Featherbed Lane, let's see, Oakwood Beach, Country Club Road, moving around, Greaves Parkway, New Bridge Road. This is in Salem County now, so we've crossed the Delaware Bay, but we're still dealing with this storm that has a Doppler radar indicated tornado with it and very heavy rainfall, as well as quarter-size hail potentially with this as it moves slowly, 15 miles per hour. I mean, you can jog faster than that, right?
Now, we do have some new video into the Weather Center that we want to take a look at. Oh, my gosh. This is Middletown, Delaware, Newcastle County. I mean, talk about windswept rain. We want to thank Shane for this video. I mean, this is no visibility, right? I mean,
dark, it's scary.
It is scary, and that is a great point because when it's nighttime, you can't see anything, so you can't go outside. You're probably blowing transformers. The power's probably out in some locations. You can see the lights here, but it is definitely a scary scene, and the rain is coming down in buckets, tropical in nature. I mean, so this is scary.
Just looks like it wants to snap any second.
Yeah, I mean, this is a serious situation. So Middletown getting hit twice tonight, one tornado warning at 8:30 this evening, and this video taken from 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
So
it's thankfully a lot of that rainfall is north of Middletown. So if you live on the northern side of town, you probably saw more wind and more rain than someone that lived maybe a little farther to the south. But right now, we still have that tornado warning that stretches into sections of Salem County with some of the same I guess, images that you saw in Middletown. This could play out in Salem County with the wind, the blinding rain, lightning as well.
So here's the warning area. So I'm going to take off the radar, and I'm going to take off our rotation here. I'm going to put on the storm reports in case something pops up, but you can see that this has gone over across the bay now into Salem County. So if we could take a zoom in on this area, you can see the areas like Alloway Road, Pancoast Road, Hopewell Creek. This is the area that we're talking about as it crosses over the bay. Now, as we add the radar, you'll be able to see, I mean, the torrential rain associated with this and the potential for those damaging winds as well. So we're crossing over from Newcastle County, Delaware, across the bay, and then this is maintaining strength with that tornado warning. But, Scott, those rain rates that we've looked at over the past hour or so are still there. I mean, we're talking about, 1 to 2 inches an hour with this, whipping winds, a lot of lightning, and just, downpours. And I do think we're going to be talking about a lot of flooding concerns. And that's the problem with this. Obviously, it's dark and you're blinded by the rain. So, as far as the funnel clouds, the National Weather Service will go out and see tomorrow what the damage is and assess if it was indeed the work of a tornado. But the rain itself is going to be a big problem. And obviously, with the saturated ground with all this rain, and then we're going to be looking at the winds as well. So we definitely have a little bit to go here, but the target area that we're talking about is Salem County in South Jersey, where a tornado warning was in effect for Newcastle County, Delaware. It crossed over the bay, and a lot of times it doesn't survive over the bay when you have severe weather, and it's a late hour.
It's actually kind of been fueling it. This is more of a nocturnal event. So, I mean, to get a tornado tornado overnight. I mean, we're closing in on midnight, and we're still seeing good rotation on ultimate Doppler. So, this tells us that the potential is there, and that's why we're staying with this, because lives and property are at risk.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this too, I mean, there's no tropical system. This is just a front that's moving through. And if we could take Barron again, it's a warm front that's really being the focus of this particular severe weather event. Like, the warm front was over Baltimore and Washington, and now it's moving close to our area, and it's just this warm, humid air mass that is tropical in nature, and you have this lift from a warm front. Now, typically with a warm front, you might get a few showers. Like, warm fronts are not
a tornado outbreak.
No, they don't typically cause tornadoes. It would be a strong cold front or a tropical system.
Yeah.
So to have so many tornado warnings in Maryland, I counted at least 10.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at some of that video, Kathy. Look at some of these tornadoes. I don't know if we can re-cue that video, but I mean, some of these tornadoes, if you just looked at that video of those tornadoes, you would think you were in like Kansas or something,
well,
right?
It's interesting. We had a picture coming into the newsroom. One of our colleagues has a friend that lives down in Maryland, and we were asking to fact check it to make sure it was real, because it looked so much like a Kansas tornado.
I mean, look at these.
Yeah,
we were watching
huge.
our sister station in
Fox
D.C.
5 in D.C.
Absolutely, and they were going wall to wall, talking about confirmed tornadoes on the ground. And look at these videos showing you this is just over in Maryland.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that far away, not at all. And we're talking about tornadoes on the ground. So they were obviously spotted on the ground. It's very rare around here that you can say tornado on the ground. It happened to me once during Sandy. That was the only time I've ever.
And so the National Weather Service is going to be busy assessing some of the damage reports tomorrow, of course, potentially even in our area. But as we go to radar, I want to show you the trail of destruction, so to speak. Look at all of those reported funnel clouds, as well as those tornado warnings that we saw in Maryland. So as I kind of zoom out, look at them. I mean, we're talking about at least a dozen reported tornadoes just off to the west of us. In our area, we're still watching that shear move through sections of Newcastle County, crossing into Salem County with very heavy rainfall. If you're watching us down the shore, you're looking at rain. The AC Expressway, non-severe showers moving through. Heavy rain's been lifting through Philadelphia, the north and west suburbs as well. But the heaviest of the rainfall right this second is in Newcastle County, as well as in Salem County right now in South Jersey.
Yeah, it's exiting Newcastle County right now. Still some heavy rain over Thorntown, but you can see that dark red right over the bay. This is the water, of course, and then right into Salem County. So, Scott, maybe we have about 5 or 10 more minutes in Newcastle County, Delaware, and then all the action will be in Salem County. But it's so heavy, the rain, and obviously the damaging winds potential with this is a very big deal. So once again, we still do have that tornado warning in effect. It's for the eastern part of Newcastle County, Delaware, as the storm exits, and the western part of Salem County, New Jersey, and that's until midnight. And we're going to continue to see, look, there goes the hail going right over the Delaware Bay.
We have about 17 minutes left for this particular tornado warning that still is in a portion far eastern Newcastle County, but it stretches more so now into western Salem County. So you can see right there what we're watching. It looks like now Newcastle County is pretty much in the clear. That's some good news. It just updated there, Kathy.
Yep, tornado warning now. You can see, yes, they took the red away from Delaware, and now it's just the bay and Salem County. And it's interesting because as we watch that hail tracker go across 301 and 13, just north of Middletown, Delaware, that hail is going right over the Delaware Bay and heading right into Salem County. And once again, it's unusual to see, that continue right over the water and then into the next county. But that's the case tonight. That's how strong this storm is.
Yeah.
And it's just something that you don't typically see at this hour for sure.
Yeah.
And, even this time of year, because it's only early June.
We've only had tornado warnings this entire evening. We've been keeping tabs in Maryland. They had those multiple tornado warnings. And for our area thus far, we've only had the tornado warnings in sections of Newcastle County.
Okay, so officially the National Weather Service canceled that Newcastle tornado warning and continued Salem County till midnight. And still saying, you know, that severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located over Port Penn, 7 miles northeast of Middletown, moving 15 miles an hour. And now that has been allowed to expire, but they do continue it for Salem. So, you know, still looking at the same speed and direction as it heads into Salem County. And we are looking for it to weaken as it gets into a more stable environment. So that is the overall hope with this storm.
I think it's still moving at about 15 miles per hour. So I'm just going to kind of put a loose tracker on this, and so we can get our bearings and see some of the areas that this might impact over the next half hour or so. So once again, it's moving off to the northeast at about 15 miles per hour, which is very slow. So you can see 1157 Moore's Corner moving toward the Quinton area by 1207, and Alloway, if it holds together, by 1220. But currently, as I take the radar off, Quinton and Alloway are not in a tornado warning, but those are just some of the areas this particular cell is going to be moving to. It could be weakened by that time frame, but nonetheless, it's headed in your direction. But right now, from a line from Salem down to Lower Alloways Creek, you need to be in your safe zone. So an acronym I like to use is DUCK. Down, get to the lowest level of your floor, get under something, cover your head with the helmet, have shoes on as well if you're in this particular area. But debris could be strewn across the area. But the K is for keep. You want to keep away from those windows and doors, because as we've seen with tornadoes, you can get flying glass and debris. And that is a potential with this particular Doppler radar indicated tornado warning. It hasn't been confirmed or observed, but it is Doppler radar indicated. And this activity has had a history of observed tornadoes just off to the west. We just showed you that impressive video of those tornadoes that are probably going to be easily EF2s when they rate them tomorrow. So everyone's going to be talking about this outbreak in Maryland with those tornadoes, and the same system is impacting us right now, although it is in a weakened state from what they were dealing with in Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the warning area right now, I'm going to go into street level and show you some streets in the western part of Salem County, and we'll be able to see exactly the neighborhoods that are impacted. That tornado warning until midnight. We do have a few minutes left on it, about 12 minutes to be exact. And on our computer graphics here.
On maps, if we could take maps, we're going to kind of go street level and show you some of the areas that are impacted with the very heavy rainfall, those gusty winds, and that potential tornado. So you need to be in your safe zone. We're staying with this until midnight, so about, as Kathy said, 12 more minutes for this tornado warning in Salem County. It's had a history of rotation, a history of some quarter-sized hail, lightning, gusty winds. We've been getting some video in from Newcastle County of some of the wind with this system. So very powerful in nature, and the flooding concerns with that heavy rainfall. I think there's probably going to be a swath through Delaware, Newcastle County into Salem County, where we probably pick up about half a foot of rainfall. But look at this. This is in Newcastle County, Delaware, this evening, and you can see how the wind just picked up. It looks like that tree wants to go from vertical to horizontal. So this is the energy that we're dealing with this system. Thanks so much to Shane Campbell out of Delaware for submitting this. Staying safe, of course, and then you can see there's some vehicles in the background. It looks like heavy rainfall, but the wind just picked up in an instant.
It's amazing. Like, if you look at the road, you can see the wind blowing the water. I mean, that looks like a tropical storm. And it was tropical today.
Lightning, you can see the lightning as well. So this kind of really just sets the stage for what people are dealing with at night. I mean, this is, it's scary at night.
It is scary. And if you look at Ultimate Doppler, you can see those darker colors in Ellisboro right now. That's the western part of Salem County, New Jersey. And the areas, the neighborhoods we're talking about is around Mason Point Road, Money Island Island Road, and then if you go a little bit further inland, we're talking about New Bridge Road, if you're familiar with that, or Holgate Boulevard, Cuff Road, Robinson Road. That is where we are looking at the area of the heaviest rain and the potential for the Doppler radar indicated tornado. So there's a lot of hail associated with this, a lot of lightning associated with this storm, and we're going to continue to track that. So
yeah, we have about 10 minutes left with this, and there's still a pretty good rotation signature with this over on radar, and you can really see how we've been tracking this through Maryland, through central sections of Newcastle County, and it's crossing the Delaware Bay into the western part of Salem County. So the potential is still there for a tornado to spin up, and it only takes, a few seconds for a spin up to cause some damage. We've seen severe weather thus far across the country and what some of these brief spin up tornadoes can do. So that's why we're trying to stay on here and give you the information that you need to stay safe. So very heavy rainfall has occurred in parts of the area, in particular Newcastle County. You can see those numbers there coming in right around 4.5 to 5 inches of rainfall. So very impressive in just a short amount of time. So I mean, we went from kind of a dry spell the past couple of days to just all of a sudden dealing with the very heavy rainfall, and this is moving into Salem County right now. Some locations closing in on 4.5 inches as we look at some of those rainfall estimates.
yeah, I mean, you can look at Delaware, just north of 301, 4.4 inches. That's the estimate. Chesapeake City, obviously, that's in Maryland where they had the storms earlier. That's over 5 inches of rain, but very impressive to see Salem. I mean, it hasn't been in that area that long, and as we take a look at Salem County and Ellisboro, that's our main area that we're looking at right now. We're looking at rain estimates, about 4.4 inches of rain, 3.9 in Salem, already 2.4 inches of rain with this potential tornado. So it's not just the wind, it's the windswept rain, and it's the damage that can all do to an area and to a neighborhood. So you can see that tornado warning was dropped for Newcastle County, Delaware, and you can see a lot of the rain is moving out. Still some heavy rain in Newark and also toward Wilmington on 95. It's crossing the bay right now. We're still getting hail indicators with this particular storm, and we're looking at it just heavy rain and potential for damaging winds with this potential tornado. So
we're going to check some information from the Weather Service. It looks like they're going to expire the tornado warning.
Yes, for Salem County. There you go. The tornado warning has expired for Salem County, New Jersey, and we've expired the marine warning for the Delaware Bay as well. So now we are getting a little bit back to normal here, and actually it's still indicating on our computer graphic, but it was officially expired. So there you have it, guys. Ultimate Doppler showing still seeing very heavy rain across the Delaware Valley, still seeing potential thunderstorms moving up toward Philadelphia, but that severe thunderstorm, that rotating thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado in Salem County has been allowed to expire before the 12 midnight deadline. So that's good news. It's weakened, and right now we do not have anything severe in our area.
Yeah, that's definitely good news. We're going to continue to monitor this throughout the overnight. Of course, Susario is going to have the latest on Good Day beginning at 4 a.m. as well.
Absolutely. Are we going to take a break, guys? Okay, we're going to take a break.